everybody, who do you think is doing best on this patch? Well, while I was looking it up, I saw 5 champions that I had no idea were going to actually be amongst the best of this patch. So I decided to make this video on it, because some of them actually are just really comical and funny, and some of them just sort of came out of left field, and one of them I actually kind of predicted. So throughout this video, we're going to be talking about 5 champions that somehow became overpowered. Make sure to like, make sure to subscribe, and enjoy this video. The first one is Olaf, who, okay, I'll be fair, pretty much a lot of people expected Olaf to be overpowered, but I do defend that I did originally tweet under the original patch notes when they were unveiling them, the patch preview. I did tweet that the Olaf changes were buffs. Don't call me biased, don't call me a biased champion main. If I see even a champion I play being overbuffed, I called it out, and I did say that those Olaf changes were buffs. How were those Olaf changes buffs? Well, let's actually take a look at them. So, in a whole, and I think a lot of people haven't really looked at these, in a whole, they nerfed his lifesteal, but they reduced the maximum health for his lifesteal. So basically, he used to cap out at 22.5% health, now he caps out at 30% health. So, I don't know the real math for that, but it doesn't seem to have really been a major nerf to his lifesteal, and let's be honest, Olaf's lifesteal was not really that important to him anyway. The important buff is right here. His Q got more damage, and it got its cooldown reduced. The minimum time between casts went from 3 to 2.5. It also gained 10 damage. 10 damage, particularly in the early game, Olaf game, 10 damage in the early game became very good. Now, the W nerf to its late game, the R nerf to its late game, remember, every single game will have an early game, not every single game will have a late game. Does everybody get that? So the buff to his early game, this happens every game, and these buffs don't go away after the early game. 10 damage might become less significant the later in the game you go, but it still does something. In addition, the cooldown going down means that he can perma-slow more, do damage more, try to recover from a missed axe more. So what has that done to Olaf? Well, he somehow became even more overpowered. He was already at a 53% win rate, and by pushing his early game more, it made him even snowballier. And now that he's even snowballier, he can win games more consistently. This was not a great change by Riot, which is why I literally said, I loved old Olaf. I had a billion mastery in old Olaf, but old Olaf should stay old Olaf. It was not healthy for the game's balance to have a champion balance so hard around basically ending the game by level 6. Now, what I meant by that was old Olaf basically had to end the game by level 6, but new Olaf now once again has an early game where he can start running people down very easily. Again, I want to say this because people don't wrap their head around this one. Every single game will have an early game, not every single game will have a late game. In addition, the stronger your earlier game, the more likeliness you are to get into that late game more fed with more items. So this ended up just being, as we can clearly see here, this ended up just being a straight overall buff to Olaf, and now he's quite overpowered, unfortunately. So once again, low rankers are ruining it for everybody. Dr. Mundo has become literally the highest win rate top liner at all ranks as of this patch. Until Mundo gets reworked, again, he's just going to keep popping up. Every time he's viable at the high ranks, he's just going to utterly obliterate the low ranks. I've talked about this a lot. Right? Can we please rework Mundo again to have some mechanics or something? At any rate, when we look at Mundo, what happened was tanks were really bad in last patch. They weren't really unplayably bad, but they weren't particularly amazing. When we look at the patch notes for Dr. Mundo, he didn't really get the same nerfs on his health that a lot of other champions were getting. His ult increased base health based on his missing health, went down a little bit, but his W healing didn't, his passive healing didn't, his passive other healing didn't. None of that got nerfed, so Mundo actually ended up coming out a little bit ahead through the fact that he wasn't nerfed as hard as all the other champions who healed were nerfed. So then this patch, right, then doubled down, and because tanks were underperforming a little bit, they kind of like tripled down in a way, and I'll actually explain this. They tripled down, like triple buffed all these tanky champions in Mundo, and we're gonna see these become a problem a little bit. But what they did is they buffed Bami's Cinder. They gave 100 health to every tank mythic. Then they buffed a bunch of tank items, in particular Spirit Visage, which is known for being a Mundo item. So Mundo got 100 more health, and he scales really well in health. He got 10 more MR. His Randuin's Omen is a lot stronger, but in addition to that, what they actually did is by nerfing Riftmaker, nerfing Landry's Anguish, and nerfing healing debuffs again. And then actually, I think they even nerfed Kraken Slayer. So if we go down here, yeah, Kraken Slayer got nerfed as well. So the items that target and hurt Mundo, those items all got nerfed. The items that help Mundo, they all got buffed. As you can imagine, in particular when Mundo was one of the least nerfed tanks, he's now doing quite better. At the higher ranks, he falls off like a rock. I mean, you can see if we go to Plat Plus, he goes all the way down to 50. A healthy, for him, I think 51% win rate is totally healthy. But if we go to the low ranks, yeah, a bit of an issue. Yeah, all I can say about this one, right? Can we please nerf something on Mundo? I don't know what, but you need to buff his W to be an actual ability that you can play around than his gameplay that you can do stuff with. The problem is right now, Mundo's W is so worthless. That's his little, when he takes damage, he then heals based on the damage he took if he hits you with that, right? That ability is so bad, it's so worthless, that it doesn't really matter if you use it well or not. And when playing Mundo, 90% of the champion is just running at people, pressing Q and E repeatedly in your ultimate. You can't have that, because a champion like that will always perform well. Much like a Master Yi, sorry Master Yi players, but I'm not really that sorry. He can kind of get through just right-clicking people. He doesn't need to hit a skill shot, but I mean, it's pretty clear. It's pretty clear to me, Riot. This keeps happening. This keeps happening. I would like to play Dr. Mundo one day without him getting nerfed into the goddamn ground because of the low rank. So yes, Dr. Mundo at the low ranks, way overperforming. It's an issue. Riot basically indirectly quad buffed him. They nerfed the items that were beating him. They buffed the items he built twice. They buffed them in a way that was extremely beneficial to him. And now he's just really overpowered at the low ranks. What is that joke Riot always uses for Zeri? Zeri the carry is very scary. Okay, I'll actually be beneficial to Riot on this one. I'll actually give them slack. When I saw these changes to Zeri, and you guys can see my reaction in the patch video, I kind of disregarded them and laughed and was like, nobody gets hit by that ability, and we all laughed but it ended up being one of the largest single buffs a champion has ever received. If we look at last patch Zeri at Plat Plus, she was at a 46% win rate. On this patch, she's at a 54% win rate. Now, just to be clear, this is a champion who historically has been well balanced around 47% win rate, who at 48% win rate starts actually becoming overpowered. If we look, the higher rank you go, the higher her win rate goes. This champion at the high ranks right now is practically an auto win. How did this happen? Well, okay, once again, I'll be lenient to Riot. I didn't see this coming at all. I was literally laughing about these patch notes and joking. So, you know, I went back and I started to reread these because I was like, how did this champion go up 8% win rate? I played against her the first game of the patch and I was like, holy crap, what the So, okay, let's talk about this. Her Q, no, that's her little gunshot, right? That gained more damage. And let's see, it gained more flat damage and it gained more scaling damage. The passive charge damage, that's when you get full charge and she goes PK Thunder, right? When she does that, that also gained more damage. However, the slow at maximum charge was removed. The problem here is that she currently does so much damage that if she ever gets to the supercharge and PK Thunders you, right? If she ever does that, you die. So she doesn't really need the slow, and removing that didn't actually seem to do anything because you could either be slowed or you could be dead. I'd prefer to be slowed, even by 50%, than to be dead. In addition, her W Ultra Shock Laser, this is a change I literally, I don't think I even read it. I think I was just laughing at this the whole time. I was like, who gets hit by Ultra Shock Laser? Oh god, this buff isn't gonna do anything. So, okay, that's when she shoots the lightning and goes, I don't know what PK move that is. PK fire? I don't know. Anyway, she shoots her little Pikachu laser, and if it goes over terrain, it does a little zappy zap beam, and it goes, okay, that one. That one gained the effect if it hits a wall and does the little zappy zap effect, right? It will now critically strike champions and monsters, which is a lot of damage. So in addition to giving it a higher AD ratio, which is good, the slow was nerfed but only at the high ranks, and the cooldown was reduced. These are all buffs, actually. These are all quite good buffs. And in addition, critting when it goes over terrain means that I'm sure you've experienced this right now. The rank 1 Ultra Shock Laser hitting you for like 300 at level 6, and you're just like, huh? Wow. Okay. So she did get a nerf on her E, she did get a nerf on her ultimate. Unfortunately, nerfing her utility did not make up for the fact that her damage and her early game in particular was buffed so hard that she basically stomps you into the ground by like level 3, then just carries the entire game. Once again, look, I was literally making fun of these changes. I was literally laughing and going, buffing Pikachu's not gonna do anything. PK bullshit, right? But no, this did a lot. It's, I'll admit, right, we all made a mistake here. Could you please now hotfix nerf her? She literally auto wins at the high rank. Please, Riot, please just hotfix nerf her. That's Zeri. Very, 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 very scary. Zeri the carry is very scary. Riot, please nerf her. What the hell happened, Volibear? How did this happen? So this is Volibear at all ranks. If we go into Plat Plus, it still follows. What the hell happened, Volibear? Okay, so I think I understand this one, actually. I think I get it. So, once again, in addition to the Mundo changes, right, we can see that the nerf on Riftmaker, the nerf on Landry's Anguish, the buff on all the tank items, the nerf on Distance, the nerf on Moss, all that stuff, the nerf on Cricket, all that stuff benefited Volibear. Much like all these other tanks are doing quite well right now, these benefited Volibear. However, Volibear was doing somewhat decent last patch with his tank build, and we can see, if I go in here, we can see that the build he is excelling with is the tank build, the typical, what is this one, Turbo Chem, can you believe there's an item in League called Turbo Chem Tank? it's Turbo, what are you building? Turbo Chem Tank, okay. So it's, you know, just the typical Volibear tank build, right? That build is doing quite good, and that build got buffed by Riot last patch. It was doing pretty decently on Volibear. Now it's doing even more decently because Volibear got buffed, and a lot of his contemporaries, a lot of the champions that he was fighting for the top jungler pick, they also got nerfed. So Volibear got better, then got better, and then they got worse. Everybody get this? This isn't that complicated. I don't really even have that much to talk about on Volibear Jungle. It just seems to be a case of, well, look, he was really good last patch, and then all his items got buffed, all the items that hit him got nerfed, and then everyone he fought got nerfed too. Like all those junglers that were overpowered, they got hit. That's it. There's not that much to talk about with Volibear, actually. It's probably the most boring champion here. He just sort of like Survivor Islanded his way, you know? Everyone else got voted off the island, and he was just on the can, right? He's just taking a shit. He comes back up. He's like, where'd everybody go? I guess I win. I don't understand how they managed to do it, but those absolute lunatics managed to do it. Here's last patch. All ranks singed mid, literally the highest win rate. Here's this patch, all ranks singed mid, literally highest win rate. Let's go to Plat Plus, still literally the highest win rate. I don't understand at all. I don't get it. I don't understand. I'm completely at a loss. Singed could be 60% win rate, and I promise you, he could be 60% win rate, and I will still tell you, this champion sucks. I literally don't understand it. I don't have anything to say. I have nothing. I have absolutely nothing to add here. I don't get it. This makes no sense to me. How are they doing this? I don't know. How are you guys doing this? What are you doing? I don't know. Apparently, the best I can tell you is they're just sort of doing Predator Singed mid, and they're just pushing and roaming, and that's it. That's somehow that has made Singed a 55% win rate 2 patches in a row. I don't get it. It's like there's just a group of terrorists just destroying solo queue with sheer stupidity. I don't know. I don't know. I have nothing to contribute here. To me, he feels absolutely terrible. I'm looking dead ass at this 55% win rate that has been here for 2 patches in a row, and I'm telling you right now, I would still not nerf this champion. I don't believe he's overpowered. I don't think he should get nerfed. That's my opinion. And yet I'm staring at the fact that clearly something is wrong here, and maybe... Just say it out loud. Singed mid is overpowered. It's absurd. I don't know, man. Singed mains, you guys are crazy. I don't know. Nothing to contribute. I got nothing. That's it. That's it. I'm not even gonna try to explain this one. I don't get it. I don't get it. Are they using mind control?